Early voting continuing in the Republican and Democrat primary runoff elections. Joining us on the phones this morning to talk about his campaign in the Republican primary for the 140th District Court, Tom Brummett. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Morning, sir. Good to talk to you again. I always enjoy appearing with the wokiest host in Lubbock Radio.
There you go. Absolutely. We appreciate you joining us today. Hey, and I've asked all the candidates this, give everybody a refresher on who you are and why you're running for the 140th District Court.
Sure. My name's Tom Brummett. For the past 17 years, I've served Lubbock as an assistant district attorney. Started under Bill Souter, worked under Matt Pound, now under Sunshine Stanek. Practiced criminal law in all of the courts in Lubbock County, and I'm just looking for the honor and the trust to expand that role and serve the people of Lubbock in a different way.
When it comes to the 140th District Court, what type of cases are normally heard in that court?
Well, I knew you were going to ask that. I've heard some interviews. I've seen some campaign ads from my opponent trying to spin that court is something I have no experience with. And I get that tactic. I get why he wants to do that, but it's wrong. Number one, as far as I'm concerned, I do have experience in civil litigation. I work for the criminal district attorney's office. The civil side of our office also represents the county in civil courts, and I've been involved in those proceedings when needed. Number two, I do have experience in family law litigation. I've had to appear and litigate issues in family courts, especially those involving CPS as part of my job. Now, to your question, number three, the 140th District Court is primarily a criminal law court. Okay, you ask anyone that works in that courthouse, and that's how they're going to refer to it. Filing numbers are not dispositive. The day-to-day operations of that court and what the judge of the 140th is asked to spend their time on are overwhelmingly criminal matters.
I guess when you look at this, who gets to, how does the 140th District Court get that reputation of being, mainly, or I guess criminal court?
Well, I mean, legally speaking, all of our 6 district courts are courts of general jurisdiction, but there was an agreement made between the judges of the courts to say, okay, the 99th, the 237th, and the 72nd will handle primarily civil law, and then the 3 criminal courts, 364th, 140th, 137th, will handle criminal. It's based on lots of things having to do with caseload, number of cases in the county, and that has been in place for quite a while now, and I think it's a good orientation and it works well.
How long have you been with the DA's office?
17 years.
And so from that 17-year experience, what separates you from your opponent experience-wise and resume-wise, where you would do a better job in that role in the 140th District Court?
Well, 2 things. Number one is my commitment to the people of Lubbock, and the second thing is the fact that the nature of what I do on a day-to-day basis is more like what a judge in that court's called on to do. You can look it up in the Code of Criminal Procedure. You've heard me say it before. A prosecutor is charged with seeing that justice is done. My job is to make sure that what happens is what's best for everyone involved. And who is that? I mean, that's a victim. And that's the part I really love, is getting to help folks who aren't at the courthouse because of anything they did. I help them claim justice and feel like the system takes them seriously. Number 2, the defendant. People look at me strange when I say that, but Chad, I'm going to take issue with the characterization that a defense attorney is the only one who ensures a defendant's rights are protected. Okay? If I ever encounter wrongdoing or a mistake on the part of law enforcement, if I ever encounter evidence in a case that shows a defendant didn't commit a crime, I mean, not only am I legally required to make sure that information is known, but I'm ethically and morally required to do so. And you know what? If it destroys the state's case, so be it. I have no problem with that. I will sleep well that night knowing the rules were followed. My job is to ensure the best result for everyone is reached. That's what I've been doing my entire career. It's not to fight for what's best for one party. And that's what we expect from our judges. It's kind of a long way of saying that the way I look at it is I've been on the job training to be a judge for the past 17 years. So when my opponent says I've only spent my career doing one thing, I guess he means I've had one job title. But that one job title involves doing a whole lot of things in the courthouse. Now, I'll be honest with you, there are some things I haven't done. I have never stood in front of a jury and told a victim they were responsible for what happened to them. I have never torn apart a police officer on the stand. And I have never been paid to use all of my skills and abilities to try to make sure a defendant avoided the consequences of their actions or received the least punishment possible. As you've heard me say before, my loyalties have never been for sale. And I don't consider that a weakness. That is something I'm incredibly proud of.
Visiting with Tom Brummett here on the Chad Hasty Show, a candidate in the Republican primary for the 140th District Court. Early voting goes until July 10th, Election Day on July 14th. During the past few months, have you been talking to people and getting people ready to vote?
Well, it's been different. I mean, our original thing was even with a runoff, this was all going to be done in May, right? But you may not be aware there's this little COVID thing going on, and it's kind of thrown a wrench in everybody's plans. It's been different. People don't want you going to their door. People certainly don't want you knocking on the door wearing a face mask for various reasons. We've navigated the minefield on that because people have very different and very passionate feelings on those issues. We've tried to be respectful of everybody's feelings. It involves a little bit different approach, but you've got to be nimble and you've got to be on your toes and adapt to what it throws at you. And that's just life, and that's especially life in the legal world.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Brummett, a Republican candidate for the 140th District Court. Tell folks how they can find out more information about you.
I'm real easy to get a hold of. You can find me on the internet at just tombrummett.com. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and I'm always available to reach out by mail or phone. We can get that information there.
All right, very good. Tom, thank you very much for joining us today. Let's visit again soon.
I appreciate it, sir. Looking forward to it.
All right, that's Tom Brummett, again, Republican candidate in the primary runoff for the 140th District Court.